I'm just going to dive in and see the look in your faces. This poem's called Poetry Undefined. How is it that most grown slam poets are male? Are we girls that dynamic that we can't even stick to slam poetry? Come on, man, we're girls. We love attention. What more do you want? I gotta say that this is the life when it comes to speaking in front of an audience who is willing and sometimes forced to listen to our struggles and feelings, whether or not that time of the month has come, if you know what I mean. No, I'm not asking for a heated competition of, my life sucks more than yours, neither am I pleading for a list of reasons why we should give up on love. Because love, ladies and gentlemen, is unfair. It's not fair that the unyielding ties of a loving family are torn by the loss of a child in a car collision. And it's not fair that live and learn apply in relationships as well. Of course, we all feel your pain, but I'm not focused on pity and self-deprivation right now. All I want is courage from you for once, and not confuse confidence with conceit, or non-virgin with promiscuous. Have the courage to maintain poetry written with eloquence and equity. Because when poems become all about your rainy days and your gray, cloudy skies in this cruel, cruel world, I will stamp it incomplete. Incomplete are the words that flow without purpose, like the clear waters of a narrow current without the mouth of a river. Incomplete is the input of problems never bothered to be solved, and incomplete is the official definition of poetry for its unwillingness to be labeled or nailed down. Poetry is the chiseled marble of language, a paint-spattered canvas. But don't do this. Don't shackle poetry with your definitions. Poetry is not a frail and cerebral old woman. Its powers to move like faith and religion are stronger than you think. But keep in mind of the responsibility you bear by claiming poetry is God. Poetry, its imagination will break those chains faster than you can say Harlem Renaissance. So please don't compose a pessimistic piece without a confrontation or conciliation, or an optimistic piece without its spills and fallacies. Share with us your agony, not an itemization of complaints. Because defining poetry is like grasping at the wind. Once you catch it, it's no longer wind. Thank you. So that was just the first demonstration of what slam poetry is like. So, as they said, I'm a slam poet from Tucson Youth Poetry Slam. And working for a nonprofit organization, as you can imagine, is tough because we have to rely on donations and such. Before I started writing slam poetry and performing it, I used to write poetry since I was little in my room, and the only thing it gave me was good grades in my writing class until I found Tucson Youth Poetry Slam. And it was very interesting to me because the first time I ever performed a poem in a competition was when something told me that I needed to keep going. And for many reasons, I use slam poetry as a means of activism. And this next poem is how the media portrays different parts of us negatively in the way that, it just kind of sticks to us that to think negatively of one person. And as a Hispanic woman and a first-generation immigrant, I have to cope with the effects that the media has on its audience, whether it's a stereotype or low expectations. So this next poem is called First Impressions. What look do you think they gave us when they arrived? Disgust? Relief? Envy? That this land was ours first before they could ever lay a finger on it? That this land was ours first before they could ever shoot a cannon at it? On camera, we're 10 pounds heavier. 4 felonies grave, 25 paychecks broke, 6 steps behind, 78% are reliable, and you clearly don't hesitate to deny a second chance from us. And in that same quadrilateral figure of a screen, you prance around in your business suits, your cell phones, your desirable activities that you look forward to after a day's work, and remind us with a slanted wagging finger that inside is what truly counts, that we shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Well, time is ticking towards deadlines carved on the walls, and this book hasn't even been opened, and the thought of skimming through it isn't enough for our calloused hands, for our dry, thirsty mouths. I stand here, only reading some pages from some letters of my subconscious, and I wait not for change, but for silence, for a chance to speak. Since I was told to speak only when I'm spoken to, but never was spoken to in the first place. Silence. For the underprivileged, the underknown, the overwhelmed, and the overtaxed, both mentally and physically, the ones without their magic powers to turn empty cupboards into warm-cooked meals, the drenched with battle scars and the dermal slates of young and old who rather take their lives first before harming someone else the same way they were, the ones who fought and didn't win, the ones I thought would stick around longer than me, the more deserving, and the peace of mind among broken dreams, the exhausted voices of redundancy, and the ones who left without looking back. The word I give and the word they are, the word they give and the word I mark. For they cannot speak, so they become all ears. Even I, just one of them, can't speak for all of them. Thank you.